Thank you for sharing your time with me today, and thank you for my audience for being here. With student loan debt at all-time highs in the U.S., I think it's important for us to include financial literacy and responsibility as part of high school curriculum. One of the reasons why I feel this is important is in an article recently published by Forbes magazine, 44 million American students owe $1.5 trillion in student loan debt. Just to give you an idea of how it's climbed over the years, I'd like to share with you a graph on student loan debt. And what this graph displays is student loan debt over time, starting at 2006, going up to 2018, where we reached over $1.5 trillion in student loan debt. Some of the other resources that I've gathered my information from are some scholarly articles, statistics from the Organization on Economic Cooperation and Development, and the Program for International Student Assessment. Some of the points that I'd like to cover with you today is student loan debt and financial literacy. What could be included in financial literacy courses if we were to start to include them as part of curriculum, and also why it's important to start teaching students young before they enter high school, or as they're in high school, before they enter college or the workforce. So let's begin by talking about student loan debt and financial literacy. So like I told you, 44 million students in the U.S. owe $1.5 trillion. Of those 44 million, 7 million of those students are in default on those debts. A big reason for that could be a lack of financial literacy and a lack of being taught financial responsibility before they take on these big loans. To give you an idea of where the U.S. ranks, I'd like to show you another chart where the U.S. ranks in financial literacy. And what this chart shows is of the 15 countries that were tested, where they rank based on scores calculated by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. And if you see here, the OECD average score is 489. 460 is the requirement that they would say you should be able to be at in order to pass. I'm sorry, it was 490 is what you should be at and able to pass. Puts the U.S. below what you should be at and places them well below many other countries. Closer look on that graph before we change. So to give you a few more statistics on this matter, 1 in 5 American students that took this OECD test did not meet the requirements to be considered financially literate. To give a comparison on this, students in China that took the same test, only 1 in 10 were found to be not financially literate. That puts the U.S. way behind the curve as far as the rest of the world and where we're at with financial literacy. The U.S. was ranked 7th out of 15 countries that participated, behind China, Belgium, Canada, Russia, the Netherlands, and Australia. Another startling fact about the U.S. and financial literacy is only 17 states require high schools to teach financial literacy as part of their curriculum to graduate. So now that we know some statistics, let's talk about financial literacy courses and what could be offered if we were to teach students this. Myself and experts agree that some of the most important topics that should be covered in financial literacy courses are going to be student loans, interest, long-term debt, and the impacts of student loans. Another topic would be personal finance, money management, and using credit safely, as well as investing. And some things that they should be taught but they may not use right away is navigating financial decisions like 401ks, retirement plans that they will be offered when they enter the workforce. So now that we talked a little bit about what students know, a little bit about what students owe, and a little bit about what students should know, let's talk about the importance of why they should know that. Know a little bit about more about financial literacy and responsibility. So to start out with a couple facts, statistics for you before we get started. Scores have not improved in the U.S. since 2012, which is a long time to not show improvement. And a big reason for that is because we don't require this to be part of their education going through high school. Andreas Schneider, the education director for the OECD, so there's a growing gap between what we teach in math and the math that they're actually going to use, students are actually going to use when they go out into the workforce. Students today are required to make a lot more complex financial decisions than they ever were before. So a big reason why they need to be taught a little bit more is we're placing a lot more on their shoulders. They're taking on more student loan debt. They're offered credit cards when they first get in jobs and going out into the workforce. It's better to know a little bit more about this as well, for it increases the chances that they'll be financially independent as they go forward in life. Education in financial literacy and responsibility also can positively impact individuals' lives as well as positively impact the economy. So we've covered some of the statistics on student debt. We've covered education, what we're teaching them now, what we should be teaching them, and the importance of doing so. So help give this important topic a voice, and talk with student counselors, talk with your at local meetings, local politicians, send your local senators emails saying that we should require this as part of our state's guidelines. So to kind of conclude and wrap up some of the stuff we've covered here today, I'd like to hope that after hearing this, you'd like to see financial literacy and responsibility be part of high school curriculum. I think I covered pretty well on the reasoning why, some of the stuff we should cover. So I'd like to close by thanking my audience for being here today, and thank you as well.